So, Mr. Dumont, where were you when we argued this case before? The sheriff now isn't going ahead, and we questioned at that particular time. We said, does the state know about this? Oh, yes, they know about that. And, we had all the discussions about whether, it implicated a statutory scheme, and the state, and then the state just sat on its hands and then lost, and here you are. And so suddenly, why should we let you intervene at this point?
Well, first of all, we appreciate the ability to be here today.
We would have liked to have heard from you before.
Whether we're permitted to intervene or not, and we appreciate that indulgence from the court. We do think we should be permitted to intervene given the way that this case or these cases together have now become, in essence, a challenge to the constitutionality of the California public carrying scheme as a whole. Now, there are ways that the court can and I think should resolve the cases that would not have those implications, but we are here because two things happen. One, the panel opinion addressed the issue.
Residents are concerned that there is a lack of leadership in the city. How do you respond to that?
I think anytime there's a surge in crime, we hear those same questions. There's a lack of leadership. Is the commissioner the right one? I understand that people don't want to feel that there's a sense of lawlessness. Under my administration, we were able to get the homicides down to the lowest number they've been since the 70s.
I think we need to hear that one again.
Okay.
I'm not giving up.
What about residents who are concerned for...
Oh, no, it won't let me go back.
Hello, this is Sister Mary Margaret Fussynickers. You're about to listen to Free State Radio. Why? I don't know. You may hear subversive ideas like liberty, responsibility, and rights. You may even hear a bad word or two from those foul-mouthed hosts they call talent. So you best shut your mouth and open your mind, because Free State Radio is now on the air.
And we are.
And we are. Welcome to the June 17th edition, the special guest edition of Lock and Load Radio. Glad to see you all with us. In studio, we have Rain Man. Hey. And his lovely wife, who won't come on camera for whatever reason, but anyway. So she's the waitress now.
She's welcome to be the peanut gallery.
She's right. Be that we like an audience. We live in studio audience are always welcome. So
sure, she'll have an opinion or two.
So yes, Skipper Key. It is Andy with an I. Thank you so much. So we got a packed evening, and I want to thank Rayman for bringing me the bourbon of bourbons, Maker's Mark. Always makes me happy.
You're welcome.
So it started about 20 of instead of waiting until the show started. So y'all better catch up. Rayman drove down from Carroll County and is on his way to Snow Hill tomorrow. Yep. So they're going to be hanging out. And God bless Mike for coming down from Howard County and running the show for me again, because again, can't do it without you. So how was your week?
Long. No, the week was all right. The weekend was better. I had a lot of fun with. Saturday was get in a truck and drive my fat happy backside up to the middle of Ohio.
That's not what you were gonna say.
It's before 9 o'clock.
It is before 9 o'clock.
So drove with a friend of mine up to Dundee, Ohio to pick up a dog that he bought. He bought an English bulldog that he's wanted for the past 20 years, and his wife finally acquiesced.
A brindle.
Yep. And then Sunday we spent about 8 hours over close to this way out on the Captain Price 2 doing some fishing out in Graysonville off of Kent Narrows. Got a little bit of sun.
I told you to come here, but no, you wouldn't listen. Oh no, we're going back for fish fry, I said. And I'm thinking, yeah, you're going westbound on the Bay Bridge on a Sunday afternoon.
You know?
Right. After senior week, Lisa points out.
And yes, it was a lot of fun. And yes, I think I was one of those non-locals that was irritating one of our Facebook friends for using the local roads. But hey, I was in Graysonville. I can use the Graysonville roads. So it was a long weekend. And yes, Phil, the brother from another mother who set up this trip, goes, I think next year we're going to do the fishing trip on a Saturday. Gee, yeah.
Think? Good, googly moogly. Because you guys were out all day, right? I thought you were going for a half day.
So the pace, we've been down to Bunky's down in Solomon's Island a couple of times, and Bunky's does a 4 hour, either it's 4 or 5 hours, 7 to 11 o'clock or 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. But it depends on whether they run a couple of different boats. So if they get somebody that charters their more luxurious boat, the head boat doesn't go out.
Okay, I want to go.
And the captain price too, and most of the guys that run out of Kent Narrows do an 8 hour trip. So
I think we should have a lock and load a boating trip. I think we should. Would you come down?
Yeah, I probably would. We just went on a company trip. Well, it was from one of our vendors. They sponsored.
Nice.
It was 12 or 13 guys we had on there from different companies, but the boat's rated for like 48 people.
Nice.
Huge.
All right.
Out of the
Let's go.
Bay Bridge Marina.
Let's go. Everybody has to buy their own ticket, but because I'm still looking for a job. But yeah, we should do that. We should pick a date and go. All right, who's in? And apparently you liked the boat you were on.
It was a fun experience. It was more from the perspective of I just enjoy being hanging out on the water, but about an hour for me anyway, about an hour and a half less driving, even with the Bay Bridge. But Solomon's Island from my place is a longer trip. It's about 2 hours down there, as opposed to an hour.
Solomon's Island's a long trip from here.
So, and it was $15 more expensive than going out for 4 more hours or 3 more hours worth of time.
Right.
So the only cost was literally the price of the ride. The mate and the captain threw in rods for us to use if you didn't have your own. So the only thing you really had to do was get bait. So
I want to go rock fishing though. So
well, we caught a couple of rocks that were. I think the longest rock we caught was about 13 inches, and this year's
way too small.
This year's minimum is 20. There was a bunch of them caught on the boat. Not a single one of the rocks that we caught met the limit. And captain was honest with everybody. He said we weren't really going out in rock grounds anyway.
Yeah.
But it's if we see them, we see them, and if we catch them, we catch them. But we caught a crap ton of white perch and a couple of spot. There's a bunch of spot that were caught on the boat too.
Okay.
But how was yours?
I don't remember what I did last weekend. I really don't. What did I do last weekend?
Into the microphone.
I don't remember what I did last weekend. I really don't.
I don't remember when I called you, but you were suffering by the pool.
Yeah, well, I do that a lot. Pool's open. Pools open. I forget what we did Saturday, and then Sunday Dad came over because I will be busy on this Sunday. So Dad came over, and we hung by the pool for a while on Sunday, and then came in and basically passed out on the – because the sun takes it out of you, man. You get tired. So what'd you do this weekend?
Saturday, I finished Tristan's engine for his car.
Nice. Tristan would be your son?
Yes.
Nice.
You remember him, I believe. He was in your office, but
love
in
you.
2013.
Love you. There were lots of kids in my office. Lots. 4 of his, at least 1 of yours,
Right.
And I'm sure others. So AV good is good here. Good. Okay.
I'm tracking it.
Yes, and I missed the trap shoot last weekend. I know that something came. What the hell came up? I don't remember. But on another note, I did discover a new game on my Xbox. Which is frustrating, but I'm getting there.
Which is
I like
frustrating.
What's an Xbox?
Oh. Okay, moving on. But anyway, for anybody that plays Xbox, I'm digging the Elder Scrolls. Although it's required me to have some assistance to figure it out. But I'm not a big Xbox aficionado, so I'm just learning. I just got this for Christmas, so I finished Diablo in or whatever the hell the game was that I was playing. Diablo. Finished that in 2 weeks.
I think I finished it in about 3 days.
Yeah. Well,
She's over there laughing at me because I have no clue what you guys are talking about.
She's talking Elder Scrolls. Tristan's already done it.
apparently their son plays Elder Scrolls.
Yeah, I guess.
We'll have to link up with him on Xbox. All right. So the week that was in the news. Interestingly enough, my first article relates to your opening. Did you want to explain what Stephanie Rawlings Blake was talking about in the opening, and then I'll roll into this?
So the reason for clipping that one short little couple of sentences was I have to actually throw a nod out to somebody on Shooters. I can't remember who it was, but who posted up. Did anybody just hear what Stephanie Rawlings Blake said on WJZ? Oh, I guess we should do the obligatory since I have to do this.
Yeah, do it for everybody.
Comments that we make are just so everybody's aware, comments that we make are the comments of the individuals sitting behind the microphones, unless we say that they're specifically related to an organization that we may or may not be affiliated
Entity,
for.
individual, or otherwise.
We're not representing any organizations unless we specifically say otherwise. But apparently her Royal Highness, the esteemed
Queen of
mayor
Baltimore?
of Baltimore, Princess Stephanie Rawlings Blake, apparently decided to say in a WJZ interview this afternoon that her administration is responsible for lowering the homicide rate to the lowest rate it has been since the 1970s. Okay, great. So May just barely missed by 2, meeting the record set in August of 1972 of 45 homicides in a single month period.
In a single month period.
And we're already 17 days into the month, and we're averaging 1 a day for this month. So
Baltimore Sun posted a couple days ago, so June 13th, and she said this today, which you heard at the opening. Baltimore police arrested fewer people in May than in any other month in the last 3 years, despite a surge in homicides and shootings across the city, triggering safety concerns among residents. Quote, I've noticed fewer police, said Steve Dixon, program director for the Penn North Recovery Center in West Baltimore, which is where the Freddie Gray incident was. We're having robberies at the playground in broad daylight. All these murders and shootings, we're having them in broad daylight. Quote, if police are standing there being indecisive about what to do, that's going to hurt, said City Council Vice President Ed Reisinger. First of all, Ed Reisinger, I don't know him, but he's obviously an idiot. They're standing there being indecisive about what to, I've never seen a cop be indecisive in my life.
I know a couple of them, and I'm pretty sure that it's not that they're being indecisive. It's that they're going, am I going to be arrested because of something that I do on my job?
And I'm getting there. It's a mess, this guy says. If this trend continues, people are going to feel, even myself, unsafe. Dixon is not convinced. Dixon is the program director of the Penn North Recovery Center in West Baltimore. Dixon is not convinced that police are genuinely fearful, just angry, and as well they should be. They, quote, they are absolutely angry that 6 police officers were charged. In recent weeks, homicides and shootings have spiked. There were 42 homicides in Baltimore in May, the most in a month since 1990. And police have reported 237 shootings this year, an 84% jump over the comparable period last year. I'm sorry, what did she say on WJC?
That she was responsible for lowering the crime rate.
Yeah, she's doing a bang-up job, because even the Baltimore Sun's calling her a liar.
Let me pull up the transcript here a second. Oh, crap, I got to find it again.
All right, I'll go on.
Keep going.
So Ribian Pasha, who helps manage his family's Birdland Mart at West Cross Street and Washington Boulevard, said officers have always been slow to respond to his calls about drug dealing unless when they come, the sale is done. Pasha said, I don't rely on cops. I am my own security. Quote, he said, I think they are just scared. Pasha said, they are not afraid of dying. They're afraid of going to jail, end quote. Meanwhile, he said drug dealers have become more brazen. The cops are not standing on the corner, Dixon said. At North and Mount or North and Penn, you don't see any police presence, and he's not the only one to notice. Quote, the criminals are taking advantage of the situation in Baltimore since the unrest. Lieutenant Gene Ryan, president of the FOP Lodge 3, said in a recent statement, criminals feel empowered now. There is no respect. Police are under siege in every quarter. He added that police are more afraid of going to jail for doing their jobs properly than of getting shot on duty. And asked whether whether officers are afraid to do their jobs. Anthony, the police commissioner Batts, said last week that they have endured a lot of trauma. That would be a yes. He added that officers have an ethical responsibility to the city, to the babies, to the kids, to the mothers, to the weak ones that are out there, to protect the city as a whole and keep their job going in that direction. So he did exactly what I tell candidates to do. If you don't like the question you're asked, answer the question you want to answer.
So her direct quote on the WJZ interview a little while ago was, she was asked, quote, city residents are concerned that there is a lack of leadership in the city. How do you respond to that? End quote. Rawlings Blake, quote, I think whenever there is a surge in violence, we hear those same questions. There's a lack of leadership. Is the commissioner the right one? I understand that people don't want to feel there's a sense of lawlessness. And the important piece, under my administration, we were able to get the homicides down to the lowest number they've been since the 70s. I'm not giving up.
But you notice in there, she immediately deflected that and
Bye,
put
Brian.
it right on Bats.
Yep.
I don't know if that's my friend Brian S. or not. That's in the chat room, but he's leaving, so I won't get to find out.
And these officers have endured trauma at whose hands? Is it Bats or is it hers? Or is it both?
I don't know if we're going to find out that one or not. What's interesting, there's another article that came out today at 12:30. I just want to read one quote from it. We know there are some officers who we have some concerns about, Rawlings Blake said. I've been very clear with the FOP that they're officers, as long as they plan to cash their paycheck, my expectation is that they work. That's from the Baltimore Sun, Luke Broadwater reporting at 12:33 today.
Uh-huh. I'm gonna break up this article just because I want to make a fuss. We have a new listener who happens to be a very good friend of mine. His name is Brian. I won't identify him by last name because of what he does for a living. He probably would not appreciate it, but I haven't talked to him in months and months and months, and I miss him. We used to work in the Senate office building together, and smart, really freaking smart. I mean, this guy was like on the ball, and I miss the hell out of him because he just out of the box thinker, you know. So, and I don't even know, he's lobbying for somebody now, but I don't know who. So I couldn't identify it anyway. But Brian, I'm glad you tuned in, and I know you have to go, but I wanted to at least acknowledge you on the air, and thanks for joining us. And if you got time, come back. Yeah. So yeah. Quote, cops are more afraid of being disgraced than being killed in the line of duty. Edward C. Jackson, a retired police colonel who teaches at Baltimore City Community College, said part of the slowdown in arrests is driven by the worst fear that all police officers share, which is being disgraced and not rather than being killed. It's a fate worse than death for many police officers. Lee Maddox, a retired MSP captain who teaches law at the University of Maryland School of Law, agreed. Quote, I don't think police arresting fewer people is a bad thing. This is a ridiculous quote. You're going to have
I
a cow.
remember this one.
I don't think police arresting fewer people is a bad thing, said Maddox, a board member of Law Enforcement Against Prohibition, which opposes the war on drugs. Maybe police will chill out a little bit in these neighborhoods and give people a chance to breathe. I think
Kind of
what
like
they're doing.
Kind of like Rawlings Blake gave them space to destroy.
I think giving them a chance to breathe is the problem. We have a higher rate of people not breathing. They're getting killed. Just saying. So,
But doesn't this have to happen to get to the real part of the problem, which is her leadership? Don't they kind of have to let this go on so all the people that she's indoctrinated to hate them and despise them finally see that they shouldn't be?
Well, it's Baltimore, and I have referred to it on the show, and I have referred to it quite often as Little Chicago, and it has been that way for a very long time. So do I think that people are going to suddenly have an epiphany about their mayor and want her out? I don't think so. But, who knows? Maybe they will.
Therefore, she's untouchable as
Cypher,
as
be
she thinks
nice.
She is, right? She's untouchable as she really believes that she is.
Well, I know we've had a lot of corruption in Baltimore City over the years. Let's just leave it. Let's just say that. So I think it's going to be,
You don't want me to start rattling off names, do you?
Well, you start with the former mayor. We start with the former governor. Anyway, yeah, so that's what's going on in Baltimore. And I think that's all I have for Baltimore. Pretty sure I managed to put this in. Yeah, I did. And you don't have anything for Baltimore. That's right. It wouldn't be in your pile anyway. You don't speak on this topic.
Oh, I have.
You read. You did not speak. So, anyway, and in other news, smart guns may help prevent violence if they can make it on the U.S. market. Now, those of you that have been listening to the show for a long time know that I have railed against this before. There's he's a German entrepreneur named Bernard Dietl. After the 2002 shooting at the Gutenberg Gymnasium in Germany that left 16 people dead, Dietl envisioned guns with coded digital locks, similar to the ones that his company puts on buildings. Okay, it's a nice thought. So are unicorns and rainbows. So they go on to explain about, What? I'm trying to read the chat room.
So you read your articles.
Yes. Okay. Not reading the articles. Oh, by the way, I found this article in the Baltimore. Actually, Mike found this article in Baltimore Sun. But anyway, smart gun basically, for those of you who may not know, requires a bracelet or a ring or some sort of device to be worn, and you can then shoot the gun when you have pushed the button to set the bracelet. It reads the bracelet. And we all know that technology always works. So, in an emergency situation where I need to defend myself, some virus or some, I don't know, technical, right, the battery's dead or some technical thing happens and I'm out of luck. So, because, it's a smart gun. So anyway, the Baltimore Sun goes on and they talk about, they explain that Andy Raymond, who is the co-owner of Engage Armament in Rockville, said he had no inkling of the controversy when he announced last year that he would sell the IP1, which is a 22, by the way. I don't know what the heck you're going to do with that, but go plinking. But anyway, said he had no inkling of the controversy when he announced last year he was going to sell the IP1. He didn't see the harm in offering customers a new gadget. I should have known better, he said. Would rather be shot by an eye gun than ever get involved with it again. Apparently, it didn't go well for him.
No, we talked about that on the show.
Each year in the U.S., according to the Baltimore Sun, 31,000 people die in gun-related incidents, and 73,000 more are injured, according to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Okay, gun-related incidents. So does that mean suicides? Does that mean I took a gun and hit him upside the head with the handle? What does that mean? Okay, I have no idea. And define injured. Is that a bruise? Is that a cut because the recoil came back and cut into my hand because my grip was too short?
The injury is going to depend on what kind of numbers they want to generate.
I agree.
What's the old phrase? Lies, damn lies, and statistics.
Yeah. Well, and this is what I've said so often. You can make a statistic mean whatever you want it to mean. Had the Baltimore Sun goes on, had Nancy Lanza owned a smart gun, perhaps she or her son and the 26 people he shot at Sandy Hook in Newtown might have lived, or not, because she gave him access to the guns. And on these guns, you would be able to pick who would have access. So, like, if you wanted to give me access to the gun, you would just program in whatever.
Well, gee, in the case of the Armatrix, it's a bracelet.
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mom. I killed you, and I took your bracelet off your cold, dead hands.
Right.
Bing, 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 bing. We have a winner.
Yeah.
In addition to the technology could save some of the 650 Americans each year between the ages of 10 and 19 who, according to published estimates, now they don't tell you whose published estimates, but according to published estimates, use relatives' guns to take their own lives. Well, let me tell you something.
Sounds like that would be a Bloomberg estimate.
Well, and here's the deal. Somebody wants to kill themselves badly enough.
They're going to figure out a way.
That's right. It doesn't matter whether they have access to a gun or knife or pills. It does not matter. Or a rope.
Yep.
So, yeah. So, yeah. I've had some training in that, and I can tell you that is absolutely the case. Criminologists say they believe many of the nation's roughly 11,000 annual gun-related homicides are committed with stolen weapons. No kidding. See, I did good. It's before 9 o'clock. I had another statement all lined up for that.
The past 3 weeks, she's been a little bad.
Yeah, no, we caught her.
I'm a naughty girl. What can I say? At least 18 police officers whose weapons were used against them have been killed in the line of duty since 2007. Colt Manufacturing, one of the nation's oldest gun makers, did build a prototype in the late 90s, but the project prompted sporadic boycotts of Colt by gun rights enthusiasts and was scuttled. And in 2000, Smith & Wesson promised to make all of its new guns available with high-tech safety features. The initiative sparked by a request from the Clinton administration. Please remember that for a later article. The request was sparked by, the initiative was sparked by a request from the Clinton administration, was dropped after gun rights activists boycotted the company, nearly driving it out of business. Detached from the politics of gun control in the United States, Deedle poured his fortune into building the IP1 because, technology as a security device is foolproof. Did you want the fan on?
She may be cold.
Yeah, it's warm. Either that or
We'll turn the fan on.
he
Lisa,
just
would
had
you turn
gas
the fan on?
on the other.
Good Lord.
I'm going to hijack your thread for a second.
Go.
Uh,
That's what we do here.
you said Colt. Did I hear right that Colt filed for bankruptcy this week?
Yes, they filed for Chapter 11
Oh,
protection.
get out.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
As a matter of fact, it was yesterday. Filed for
Okay.
Chapter 11 reorganization. They expect to reopen. They expect to remain in business through their bankruptcy proceedings.
Hijack over.
No, you're fine.
So I have a personal one with that one. My great grandfather or great great grandfather worked for Colt Manufacturing Company in Meriden, Connecticut.
Okay. That's pretty cool. That's very cool.
Helped build firearms in World War I.
Well,
Nice.
the 22 caliber IP1.
No, Cypher, I'm not going through menopause. It is actually hot in here.
Yeah,
If I were to zoom the camera in on either Rainman's
I
face or
turned the air
mine, we're
conditioning.
sweating. So
I turned the air conditioning because it was so cold in here, so we can easily adjust the air conditioning. But there's a fan.
little
You can
warmer.
Oh,
move.
it's good now.
So move the fan.
no,
Oh,
we're
we're
good.
good
The airflow's good.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Can't have whiny boys on the show. The 20.
I didn't
I just
whine. I
actually
just went ahead and
Ah.
corrected the situation.
I
I
thought
don't
the Evan
know.
Williams was that good.
They do have hot flashes.
Apparently, they do have hot flashes. Yes.
God, here we go.
The 22 caliber IP1 fires only when it is within 15 inches of a synchronized wristband. A light on the butt of the weapon glows green when activated or red when it is too far from the wristband. The $1,800 IP
22.
22, right, 22
Right.
caliber. Yeah. Hit the U.S. market, landing in a political storm that has been brewing for more than a decade. And we've talked about the New Jersey law on this show before, but just as a refresher, New Jersey passed a law that said when one hit the market, then it had to be used in it had to be
There was a time limit on when it was the only
Right.
when it was the exclusive things that were allowed to be used in the state.
Okay.
So
Is that-
Cypher's comment in the chat room: I'll consider a so-called smart gun a year after police use them exclusively.
That's a good point.
okay.
Field test. You know what's going to happen. Somebody's going to get one of these smart guns,
I do have bourbony boys, not whiny boys. You're right.
and they're going
I-
to.
Bourbony
I have
boy.
no bourbon.
Bourbony boy.
Right. That'd be me.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to get one of these smart guns. They're going to show it off to their their gun-fearing family and say, no, look how great this gun is. Look, you can move the wristband far away and it won't work. See? And then he's going to shoot somebody
Right.
with it, and the wristband's not going to work.
Or he's going to go, here, you can shoot it
Right.
because it's on my wrist.
Right.
Bang.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's what's going to happen. Then Darwin's going to take over, and then they're going to have to make laws against Darwin. So
Bolts, I'm laughing at your comment, but I can't
read it on the
respond to
road.
it. You know
it's
what?
not 9 o'clock
I
yet.
don't know what Bolts just said because
It
I'm
was-
usually in the chat room giving all you guys crap, and especially him. And now I can't see it. So I guess
Oh,
I'm gonna-
well, let's just say he thinks it should do more than shoot things.
Oh,
It-
geez.
it would-
That's Bolts.
so this is why you all need to be in the chat room.
That's Bolts.
Yes. So, anyway, the New Jersey law helped attract research funding, but largely faded from public consciousness because there were no working smart guns until the IP1 arrived. Raymond, the Maryland gun shop owner, Engage Armament, jumped at the chance to sell the weapon. He thought it might appeal to customers who already own guns as well as to younger ones drawn to consumer electronics. And I don't have a problem if he wants to offer that.
If somebody wants to buy it, great, go ahead, buy it.
Go ahead. More
It
power
ain't
to
ending
you.
up in my
Yeah,
safe.
but don't make me
But
buy
this
it.
poor guy, apparently, Raymond, who calls himself a huge Second Amendment guy, and if it's who I'm
You've
thinking
met
of,
him.
he is,
Yeah, you've met him.
was the focus of threats to burn down his store and kill his bulldog Brutus. And by the way, if you know anybody that did that, please go tell them I said that was way over the freaking top.
That was a big deal on Maryland shooters when
Yeah.
it happened.
It was.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're just completely over the top. If he wants to offer something in his store and you don't like it, don't buy it. It's real simple. That's capitalism. So anyway, enraged gun owners also lashed out at the Oak Tree Gun Club in Newhall, California, where the IP1 had been demonstrated and was on display in the pro shop. Both businesses backed away from the guns. Armatix now distributes the weapon on its website. However, they have declined to say how many they've sold. Now, you don't have to be in politics to understand what that answer is. Do you suppose they've sold a high number of them?
Nope.
Nope. That's the
If they had,
conclusion I
they'd be
drew.
shouting it from the rafters.
You betcha, babe. The gun industry and gun rights activists are wary of smart weapons. No kidding. There are serious questions about the reliability of this technology. Mike Bazinet, spokesman for the National Shooting Sports Foundation. That's the main reason that the firearms manufacturers do not feel this technology is ready to bring to the marketplace. And this is what I have been saying all along. My computer breaks, I don't depend on my computer to save my life. I need, a smart gun to break on me the way my computer breaks, like I need a hole in my head. Those concerns were underscored in a report by Sandia National Laboratories in 1996 and reaffirmed 5 years later that law enforcement officers could not depend on personalized gun technology to fire when necessary. Since police departments tend to drive the civilian gun market, it was a damning assessment. But in 2013, the Justice Department, no axe to grind here. The Justice Department released a far more optimistic appraisal of smart gun technology, finding at least 3 firearms to be on the cusp of commercial use. A national representative survey commissioned by the organizers of, ready for this, Seattle Smart Gun Symposium in January found that 2/3 of Americans believe dealers should offer guns fitted with the technology that makes them more secure. In addition, the Smart Gun Symposium people discovered 4 in 10 gun owners and 54% of those, so 40% and more than half of that 40% between 18 and 44 said they would consider swapping the guns currently in their homes for new, safer, smart guns when they come on the market. Well, of course they did.
Why don't they
This
go
was
put
a-
their deposits in now then, so that
Right.
the people that are going to sell them
Go-
have orders?
Right. But this is the Seattle Smart Gun Symposium that paid for this survey.
Wait a minute. Seattle smart in the same sentence?
Yeah, I'm just saying. So,
I just
according to them,
pissed off
safety
some
does
Seahawks fan,
sell.
I'm sure.
Safety does sell, but nobody wants to tell us how many smart guns they've sold. The Second Amendment is part of the
This
landscape.
is my gun safety right here.
That's right.
Well,
That's right.
this two
Yes.
Two-part
Seattle,
gun
one of the
safety.
Top 10 most homicidal places. It rains every freaking day.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with smart guns. Okay. You want to go buy a smart gun? Have at it. I think it's great. Not everybody likes Maker's Mark. So don't buy Maker's Mark. But I don't, my Fitbit right here. I don't want somebody telling me that I have to have a smart gun technology on my firearms. That's my issue with this. And that's where this is headed. Good Lord, what is going on downstairs?
Smeegs is going nuts, right?
Must be somebody here. The Second Amendment is part of the landscape, said Ralph Fisitelli, the president of Washington's ceasefire in Seattle. Technology is the most appealing way out of this conundrum. I would have thought it was education, but okay. Steve Terrett, a public health expert at Johns Hopkins University, heavily funded by Bloomberg, who has tracked the evolution of smart weapons for more than 30 years, said it was only a matter of time before they were readily available. I see more people involved and more interest. We're getting quite close to having personalized guns be a reality in the United States. Not from anybody I know. I'm just saying.
Again, when they pass all these laws to put all these firearms dealers out of business, who's going to sell their smart gun for them?
Well, that's their point. That in and of itself, that's part of their point. Make it more difficult for anybody to buy something, and you're restricting the availability of it. Therefore, everybody's going to go away and not do it. You know, who's the impacted points? The impacted points are the guys that you really don't necessarily, not exclusively, but most of the community that would even consider something like this are the folks you're probably not going to have to really be worried about.
Right.
Yeah. The guys that want, guess what? Smart guns, great, fantastic. Don't see them being sold out of the trunk of a car in Baltimore.
Right.
Yet.
Yeah.
They'll figure out a way to do that.
Yeah, when they burn down the company and steal them.
I guarantee you, there's already a criminal out there that has this figured out on how to beat these smart guns and what to do,
Sure.
how to disable
No,
them,
it
whatever.
won't be long.
I mean,
They just steal the bracelet.
or figure out another way to make it work without the bracelet. You can't tell me that they're already. The criminals are smart for a reason.
This is how we get viruses and worms and all kinds of stuff in our computers. So your turn.
Oh, you're tired of talking?
Tired of reading. Or Jim can go.
I can go. I can go get some ice.
All right, yeah, go ahead. I've got one. I've got one while you get a refill.
All right.
Not a problem.
It's gone.
There's more ice in the chest cooler in the garage. Okay.
So one of the ones in my pile for today, one of the ones that I found interesting for a
You
reason.
found all of these.
Well, yeah, I know.
You're a good producer.
From guns.com on 6/15. Title of the article, Las Vegas Police Department will destroy 1.4 million handgun registrations. So for those that don't know, last week, Governor George Sanford signed legislation into effect in Nevada that outlaws the Las Vegas County's 67-year-old mandatory handgun registration scheme. So what is this going to do? Oh, let's see. Per the article, Officer Jesse Roybal, spokesman for the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department's Office of Public Information, the records must be destroyed after 1 year.
Woohoo!
So great. Las Vegas gets back to, great, freedom. We don't have to register our handguns. And by the way, if you had a registered handgun, the registration certificate will be destroyed.
I think that's awesome.
How much you want to bet that that legislation would never pass in this damn state? And even if it did, the registration database would still remain.
Did you read their argument though for when they? I think I underlined it, but when they were talking about why they should pass this law, why they should pass this law, they made an excellent argument.
Well, okay,
That was
if
great.
this part here.
Which part? You get two
Thumb.
fingers on it. Yeah.
All right. So the quote she's referring to comes from an editorial in the 2012 editorial in the Las Vegas Review Journal. Quote, in response, actually, I should read the whole thing, I guess. Makes more sense in context. 7 decades ago, Lucky Luciano, Frank Costello, Meyer Lansky, and their pals from New York decided that Clark County was ripe for expanding mob operations, and organized crime arrived in Las Vegas, complete with armed soldiers for protection and muscle. In response, the county adopted the ordinance requiring registration of handguns. It was assumed that the mobsters wouldn't comply, so with few legal restrictions on search and seizure back then, the new ordinance provided law enforcement with some serious leverage. So kind of along the lines of what we see, the subject of the movie The Untouchables.
Right.
How was our lovely mob boss convicted? Was he convicted of mob issues? No, he was convicted of tax
evasions.
issues.
Yeah.
So in this particular case, they're just going, oh, it's just another added crime. I have a problem with those, but it's the same thing that we have in Maryland. There's problems in Maryland that in Baltimore City, for example, I have individuals that I know in my life who have placed silver bracelets on people for the express purpose of having been a prohibited person in possession of a prohibited item. And those charges, I'm
glad you
sorry,
stipulated.
they have mandatory sentencing, so they get null processed. But hey, Las Vegas is free.
And explain what null process is.
Well, nolle prosequi, not going to prosecute. And it's done in such a way that those charges not only were dropped, but they can't be brought back, from what I understand. I'm not a lawyer, but I understand that 2 ways to drop charges against somebody and in the system right now. You can nolle prosequi it, which means it's gone, or you can stead it, which means I'm not going to prosecute you now, but I reserve the right to come back to it.
3 years.
Is it 3-year statute of limitation on stet dockets? Interesting.
It probably depends on what type of stat.
I have to pick on
document.
Dan because he's too quiet in the chat room. So I figure maybe if I talk about him, he'll wake up. He's not here. I don't know where the heck he is. But apparently he said, well, I know where he is. He said he was at home. But you know what, Dan? Wake up. You're too quiet. Well, I'm just saying. Hey, by the way, he said something earlier, 5 by 5, which I understand means everything's copacetic.
Mm-hmm.
But explain the derivation of that to me.
Typically, you can look at some of the lights on the board, for example. In radios, you'll see the old way was meters,
Okay.
and it was the highest value on
It
the
was
meter.
5. Okay, I got it. Got it.
And so send and receive 5 by 5.
Got it. Okay, I just wondered, and I knew you'd know.
This show is so educational.
I know.
It really is,
I
because
know.
I never knew what that meant.
But we understood it.
Oh yeah, I mean
But-
I knew what it meant, but I didn't know the story behind it.
So Pennsylvania DCW is telling us that Pennsylvania Supreme Court just nullified all of their drug and gun-related mandatory minimum sentences today. How can they do that? Huh?
Well, that would depend on so it's court setting precedent. If they're saying that something was potentially unconstitutional, I'd have to pull an article to
I'd be very interested in that.
try to see what they say.
DCW, if you get a link on that, I'd like to do a little fast reading on that because I find that fascinating.
All right, you have a drink. So
I did.
now you're back in front
So
of the
now,
microphone.
so
Now you're
you
in
were
the hot
told to
seat.
bring homework.
I
So
did.
What
but
did you
actually,
bring?
I'm going to play off some of the other ones that you were talking
That's
about.
fine.
First of all,
That's fine.
I can't remember where I heard this, but it's around on the interwebs somewhere, I'm sure. Somebody was trying, I think Texas or Nevada was trying to pass some laws about a gun buyback program, and whoever was writing it or said that, okay, we'll give you the ability to do gun buyback programs, but you have to take the guns and auction them off to the public instead of crushing them or destroying them. Did anybody hear
I'm
anything?
down.
I think it was on Cam and Company.
I'm
so.
down.
I don't know. I know you laugh. I don't know. I got 60 episodes. I'm
No,
back up.
I actually like listening to Cam. I try to
I'm
listen
down
to
with
what
going to a
Cam
gun auction.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Hell
Maybe
yeah.
somebody can find that, but
Some of
You
my
know.
best rugs in this house have come from auctions. So, including the one you're sitting on. This is my favorite rug. Well, it was until my son decided he was going to cut a hole in it. But anyway,
Let me
Oh.
circle back to something real quick
Boys.
just before I forget about this one. DCW's comments about Pennsylvania.
Yes.
So reading from the morning call, Riley Yates, let's see, dateline is yesterday at 9:30. Pennsylvania Supreme Court beefed up prison sentence for drug dealing near schools is unconstitutional. So Pennsylvania Supreme Court declared the state's enhanced penalties for drug dealing near a school unconstitutional, a decision that calls into question a raft of once popular mandatory minimum sentencing. Let's see.
I wonder why that's unconstitutional.
Let's see.
Oh, here's an article.
Yeah, I'm reading. That's the one I'm reading right now.
Okay.
Interesting.
Right,
I'm
read
trying
it.
to find why.
No,
but-
you read the article and I'll go on to the next one because the next one, speaking of Texas. According to Yahoo, CNN's Frederica Whitfield says she misspoke when she called Dallas Police Department gunmen
Yeah, I heard this
courageous
one.
and brave.
Holy cow.
CNN Frederica Whitfield has addressed the controversy surrounding her on-air comments that she made during the coverage of the shooting at Dallas Police Headquarters, saying she misspoke. Yesterday, during a segment on the Dallas Police Department attack, I used the words courageous and brave when discussing the gunman. I misspoke, Whitfield told viewers on Sunday. I in no way believe the gunman was courageous or brave. Wait till I read the quote. Yes, she does. Actually, I'll skip ahead. Here is the quote. It was very courageous and brave, if not crazy as well, to open fire on the police headquarters, Whitfield said. And now you have this scene, this standoff. So you believe these are the hallmarks of more than one person's involvement. Yeah, she did think it was courageous and brave. And crazy. I'll give her and crazy, but she's very clear. But she did stop short. She said she misspoke. She never apologized.
Well, at
and
least she didn't
never said she was wrong. I mean, she
At least
just
she
said
didn't misremember.
yeah, buddy.
You know.
So, officials said the gunman identified as James Boyer planted pipe bombs. I hadn't heard about this. Planted pipe bombs outside police headquarters and opened fire on police from an armored van, leading to a standoff that ended when he was shot and killed by a police sniper. Ghost snipers. Yeah.
So
this is why I don't watch CNN.
Well,
They're a
so
bunch of idiots.
before this got blown up into a big news story
Yes.
by another media outlet, all of 5 people heard her say it.
Well, no.
So yeah, it's CNN.
It's
So.
CNN. I
Right.
think all the liberals watch that. Right?
But I mean, she's Stephanie Rawlings Blaked.
Blake.
She's Stephanie Rawlings Blaked. She SRB'd.
She did.
Yeah.
So-
It's the same. The
It's
same
right,
attempt
right,
at a
right,
walk
right.
It's
back.
the same
right,
thing.
right.
And what we're going to have to keep pointing out, and maybe what this news organization is pointing out, is that this is going to be a pattern. And they're just going to keep saying these types of things until, and when nobody calls them out on it, they're just going to let it go. But when somebody calls them out on it, oh, I misspoke. I used the words
How
wrong.
about I misspoke? And I'm sorry.
Right.
If it, I was
And then explain how you really
3 magic
meant it.
words that I'm trying to teach my daughter. I was wrong.
Oh,
Yeah, good luck with that.
if you
She's 13. Yeah, Lisa said she's 13. Good luck with that. Actually, she has her moments. She does have her moments. But as a matter of fact, I remember the first time I had been working for Mike for 2 weeks, something like that, and I screwed something up big, and I walked in, and he was just ready to just light into me, just tear me up. And I looked at him and I said, "You're absolutely right. I was wrong, and I'm sorry. And here's what I can do to fix it. Here's another option. I think it's better if we leave it go." And it wasn't anything horrendous because I don't remember what the thing was, but it was a mistake that I needed to not make again. And it took all the steam right out of his sails. And he just looked at me and he said, I've never had an employee come in and do that. I'm like, what? Tell you they were wrong? Are you kidding me?
if you screw up at anything, and whoever
People screw up, it happens.
and whoever is angry at you, and you go up and you tell them I screwed up, and you be honest and tell them that,
The sales are depuffed right away.
It takes away their
Well, this is what
ability to
Right.
calm down on you.
That's
so to
right.
speak.
And then this is what we've explained to my daughter. If you stop and just stop telling me why you're right, and think about it. Were you right or were you wrong? And if you know you were wrong, just say so, and it goes away so much faster.
I've had salespeople for years. I'm a technology engineer. That's what I do, telephone systems. But I've gotten yelled at by salespeople for years for going up to a customer and going, "This is wrong. I can't figure it out. I think something got screwed up. I'm not sure whether it was me or not, but regardless, it needs to be fixed."
Yeah.
And you need to know about it. You can't tell a customer that. Why not? Yeah, I'm the son of a military officer. My dad's rules were real simple. You lie to me, the punishment's going to be 5 times worse.
Yeah, that is the rule here.
If you don't, if you screw up,
yeah.
there's a good possibility you're going to get punished.
Right.
But if you lie to me about it, you're going to get punished much worse.
Yeah, guaranteed.
It's just like I work in a government space, and just watching as government people tell their bosses blatant falsehoods because they don't want to look bad. And then it's like, dude, when this comes to a head in 3 weeks, it's going to be even worse. If we had told the guy now, he's going to be PO'd because he can't meet his deadline.
Right.
But he can deal with it. It gives him the chance to go to his boss and go, "There's a problem."
Right. Let's anticipate
now
this.
When we still don't have it fixed 3 weeks from now, when we've missed 2 deadlines.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, when's that HPRB meeting? I thought that was yesterday. Okay, so did anybody go?
There's a 6 or 7 page thread on Shooters about it.
Okay, but
it's amazing.
I'd like to talk about it with somebody who went. Dan, did you go?
And there's another one on July 7th, I believe.
Yeah, it's the second Tuesday, second and fourth Tuesday. First and fourth Tuesday.
I read part of it today. I read like the last 2 pages of it just to kind of catch up. And somebody did put the minutes up about a guy from a PG County school who, has been threatened, and they won't even allow him to possess a fire to have a CCW, off premise or out of work because he's in PG County, and PG County schools don't allow you to carry. So therefore, since he lives in PG County, he still can't have one. It was amazing. I was like, am I really reading this? It was.
Okay. DCW, Mike's going to put in a phone number in the chat room, and if you would call in.
I just sent him a message to see if he wanted to talk on the see if he wants to talk on the air or not. While we're waiting for an answer on that one, we circle back to this Pennsylvania one so we clear it out. And so, another article that DCW provided for me that talks about it. What led to the decision? 2013 U.S. Supreme Court case Allen, ALLEYNE versus the United States. Under the Sixth Amendment, facts that trigger increased mandatory minimum sentences must be pled at the indictment and found beyond reasonable doubt by the jury. In Pennsylvania, the judges
must be
pled in the indictment. So it must be clearly stated in the indictment.
Oh, so that's why they overruled.
And it must be found beyond a reasonable doubt by the jury. Pennsylvania law, many drug and I'll go down, this is from famm.org. In Pennsylvania, a quote, in Pennsylvania, many drug and gun laws contain language that specifically violates Allen and requires judges to increase mandatory minimum sentences upon finding certain sentencing factors. So they're getting found guilty of a crime. And then at sentencing, jury's not around anymore. The judge is saying, oh, because of these facts that may or may not have been brought in front of the jury,
you can't.
You now have another sentence. So for example, in this particular case that got to the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, at sentencing, this guy was found to have been guilty of a drug possession charge within 1,000 feet of a school, which triggered an additional mandatory minimum. But that fact was not presented to the jury and found beyond a reasonable doubt by a jury of their peers.
So, yeah, okay. So they're basically convicting them of something that are you hot?
Always.
I was just trying to find.
I looked at Lisa and
just
you can
never mind.
No, saying it was me. Never mind.
Are you hot?
Yeah, it's warm.
All right, hold on.
It's okay.
No. Carry on.
Carry on.
Carry on, my wayward sons. What was your other issue?
My other issue?
Your other issue.
The other issue was you were talking about Stephanie Rawlings Blake was saying that everybody down there was angry.
Okay.
And I was thinking about this the other day when I was watching, I guess it was O'Reilly or somebody. They had on a road rage incident, and they had on people fighting in a Walmart. Remember that one? You see that one? The two ladies fighting in a Walmart.
No, I haven't seen that.
Then they had a road rage
Do me a favor,
incident.
Andy.
Yeah.
Make sure that's on either 1 or 2, not 3. We'll hear it too loud on the mics if it's on 3.
But I got to thinking about this, the riots
Yeah.
and all the stuff we're seeing on different news agencies about people just going off on other people. People are angry. They're not represented. They have no hope.
Yeah.
I mean, look at us. We got stuck with Chris Van Hollen in Carroll County.
Hey,
It's
I've got
pointless.
Elijah Cummings.
I know. I mean, it's pointless for us to even dial the phone or show up at his office or
They don't
send him
none,
an email. I mean,
none of
and
my
it's
3 at the
funny, I
national
love-
level
I
even
love
give me
that-
an answer.
Okay, so DCW is not getting your message because he doesn't
You
have.
got it. I got it.
Okay,
It's,
so you
it's,
said.
it's taken care of.
Okay. Okay.
I got an end of
Yes.
session update today.
From whom?
Democrat from Baltimore County. I don't know. I don't know who it was. It started with an S. Some Democrat.
Johnny. Oh, are you sure it was a Democrat?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
But it's just funny. It just because we send out we do the mass emails through either
AGC.
AGC or like I have my own mass email set up ready to go to everyone. They don't listen to you. It's ridiculous. And going in through the halls in Annapolis, the first thing they ask you is, what district are you from? So if you're talking about a bigger issue that's statewide, like
Which is bogus because they're supposed to represent us all. Do we have
right.
do we have somebody on the line?
Yeah.
oh
Okay.
sorry,
Nope, that's all right. We'll get
I
back
was
to it.
letting you finish your thought.
no,
We'll get back to it.
okay,
We'll
I'm
get
here.
back to it because I got a story.
Good evening, caller.
You are live on Lock and Load. Welcome to the show.
Oh my goodness! I am so honored.
DCW, how you doing, babe?
Doing good. Sitting here smelling like a wet dog. Just got back from a run.
Oh, how far did you run?
5 miles.
Good for you.
God, that would kill me.
I actually, John is actually doing the Couch to 5K, and actually he's going to continue it and go Couch to 10K, and he's signing up for 5Ks. Actually, one of them is with Shannon, our beloved Shannon Alfred.
Do it.
So he is. He's doing it, and I can't run because my knees are all jammed up. I've got screws, so I started walking, and on the days that I walk, I end up walking between 5 and 6 miles. So, and I'm pretty darn happy about it.
If you need any extra motivation, just look up Shia LaBeouf motivational, and you'll be good
Look
to
up
go.
what?
Just go on YouTube and type in Shia LaBeouf motivational, and you'll be able to do
LaBeouf.
anything.
Oh,
Shia LaBeouf.
okay. I think that's an actor.
Yes,
Yes.
the guy from.
Okay. All
So
right.
you had a reason for asking him to call in.
I did.
Yes, and it wasn't to talk about Shia LaBeouf.
Well, that's quite all right. So I understand you were a little busy last evening. You weren't running five miles?
Yeah, I was not running. It was myself and it was quite a few MDS members, and there was also a member
where were you?
of the Air Force who I believe has a permit in the queue. I don't know if his application was being heard last night.
Where were you?
But I was at the HPRB meeting.
Okay, handgun permit
HPRB
review
meeting,
board.
Handgun Permit Review Board.
Good.
And there were plenty of us in attendance. Usually the meeting starts at 6, but for whatever reason, we were locked out of the meeting room until about 7.
Did we inquire
don't
as
know
to
why.
why?
Well, it's one of those things where you go in the room and they bring you, when they bring you, well, I'm sorry, I got to back up. So it's at the Glen Burnie Barracks,
Right.
The P Barracks, on Aviation Boulevard. You go in there. The first time myself and 3 other members went 2 weeks ago, they didn't check IDs. They just said, "Go ahead to the room," and they let you in. This time they were checking everyone's ID, and then they let you in.
Okay.
So,
where was I
Daniel,
going with this?
real quick, by checking IDs, were they just physically looking at an ID, or were they running you? Did they actually take the ID to the computer, or did they just look?
Yeah,
at
they took it. Yeah. You gave it to the trooper who was behind the glass, and he gave it back to you about 5 minutes later.
Oh, really?
Get out.
Like, less than that. They've been less than that. Yeah. So they were probably looking for open warrants or something.
All right, go ahead.
Good thing he didn't ask you for your voter ID.
Oh, jeez.
I'll make a note.
actually, shout out in French made that. She made that joke. She's like, "Oh, that's funny. I don't need an ID to vote."
Love my
I don't need my ID to vote, but I need my ID and a wants and warrants check so that I can get into a public meeting.
Love my
That's
other
right.
ginger. Oh my God! All right, so what happened? Because I've got some questions now. So go ahead, because I'm gonna make a phone call tomorrow.
Now, I'm not sure if anyone
Come on,
asked
me.
the board after they got in what was the delay, but I think it was, something that definitely postponed it because the first applicant to be heard, or at least that I know of to be heard, he actually arrived about 15 minutes prior to when we were allowed in. So he arrived at like 6:45.
Okay.
So I wonder if they told him, don't come till 7. So I don't know. I know there's 3 brand new board members. I don't know if they were being, I guess, indoctrinated
or
on what's
oriented.
going on.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. I mean, you need some orientation. You can't just jump on a board.
Yeah, because last time it was a bit rushed. The last meeting, it started at 6, and one of the members, who was awesome by the way, me, myself, and 3 other members from MDS talked with her for like a good 45 minutes after the meeting. It was interesting. I don't want to out her over on here, but anyways, so once we got in, it was the applicant who arrived at 7. We started hearing his case, and he is an auxiliary police officer for Baltimore County.
Okay.
And he rides one of the T3s. So they're like the 3-wheel deadways that you get at the airport when traffic police season. And he was in Pikesville doing traffic duties, and auxiliary police also have arrest powers, but they can't carry anything while they're on duty. So he did that, but he also lives in Pikesville, and he was concerned about getting recognized. So since 2006, he had been granted carry permit. He would apply, he'd get initially denied, but then he'd get a letter of recommendation from the county police, and then they'd approve him. He did that twice, and then when he attempted to renew in 2014, he was denied. And Chief Johnson said there's no more letters of recommendations being going out from any officers, so he couldn't rely on the letters anymore, and they denied him the permit. It was grounds on that, and then it was grounds because he wasn't on the T3 anymore. He had been put on administrative duty because I think there was this whole thing after the Towson incident in last February, and with the auxiliary police. Like after that, they changed what the auxiliary police were doing.
Really?
But because there was that whole thing. I think it was near the it was the Record Theater, and there was that officer, like the video encounter went viral or whatever.
I'm Jamie Costello.
Hang on a second.
They got the bad press for that. So it seemed to be semi-political, but in any regard, he was no longer being given a permit. And the MSP stance for not renewing it was he had no documented verifiable threats, and because he wasn't armed on duty, he didn't need to be armed off duty.
Wow.
Yes.
That's
and this is a man who he's wearing, when he is outside, he's, wearing a uniform, he's very visible, and no one's going to, reasonably differentiate, oh, that's just an auxiliary police officer, I don't need to threaten him.
Yeah.
And
Right.
this
Right.
guy, he was talking the board's head off. He rambled on for about a good 50 minutes at least.
And so what happened?
Obviously, they didn't listen to him.
Well, it got to the point because he, and he kept pleading his case. I mean, he was on his hands and knees essentially going over and over again why he should have this permit, which no citizen should have to do. It was completely ridiculous that he even had to be there. But he was doing it, and he kept getting interrupted by Sergeant Knob, and you could tell the board members were like a couple of the board members, the longer standing ones, were a little irritated with him.
With who?
Because he kept going
The
on
applicant.
With the applicant or
with the
Knob?
applicant. Yeah, with the applicant, because he was going on a tangent about why he needs the permit and how he had gotten it in the past and why he should still get it now. And it was basically, he was concerned about being recognized and threatened or attacked on the street. It's like,
So they turned him down.
this whole idea of, have you been, this whole idea of, have you been threatened on the street or have you been attacked on the street? Well, the answer should always be, well, not yet, if it hasn't happened.
Right. We're going to wait until after that happens.
So, be a good victim, and then we'll give you a permit, maybe. But anywho, where this went was they were getting irritated, and then Thomas, that's a gentleman's last name, I can't remember his first. He's the longest on the board. He said,
Mr.
all right, you got to wrap this up. You have 2 minutes. And then after that, it pretty much turned into a mumble and a reiteration of why he needed his permit, and then it was done. And then everyone at that point, apparently when they vote on whether or not to give someone a permit, they send everyone out of the room.
Yes.
So at that point, we were told to get out of the room. And that included the applicant, and it's supposed to include Sergeant Knob and the Trooper First Class that was with him. I do believe I did at some point see that Knob and the Trooper First Class did at least leave that area, but we have no way of verifying because it's behind a closed door.
Excuse me. Does it officially at that point not become a public meeting? Is that?
I'm sorry.
Well, there seems to be some either confusion or just no one's exactly sure what's going on at that moment. The way I look at it, like, we hear a lot of personal identifying information in these meetings. I mean, we know the names, we know the addresses, we know everything about these people in these open meetings. So it's kind of bizarre. But when they vote, I know Maryland has a law. Maryland can't disclose who has a permit and who doesn't have a permit. And my thought process is, well, if they vote to give him a permit, then we all know he has a permit.
That makes sense.
So I wonder, that's my thinking on it. I don't know if that's necessarily correct. But to me, that seems to be the likely excuse used to why everyone needs to get out. I'm not sure if there's a discreet way to do it, but that's what I see. It seems like, the Handgun Permit Review Board, but their meetings they weren't designed to really coincide with anything else. Like, it just seems like an afterthought, really. And I think that's why we see what we see.
So, do you think these guys are, because we got 3 new guys on there, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's a 5-member board.
And they were,
McGow?
they were appointed by the governor. Someone in the governor's staff suggested those 3 members.
Okay, well, there's
And-
a reason, and I know that. I'm just wondering if
Yes.
if this could be because I know you all are going to yell at me, but remember what it is to be the new guy in the room. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. You haven't fed me enough bourbon for that crap, okay? And
I'm
it is
working
after
on it.
9 o'clock. So
Is it after 9?
it is
All
after
right.
9.
Give me some
So
right.
Whoa.
it's after 9.
Look out.
Things are going to go downhill now. But I mean, I know what it is to be the new man on the committee and trying to make your way and not going along to get along, but just to get your feet warm and try to learn what's what. So I'm hoping that's what the case is here. I guess we'll see. What they've only had 2 meetings with the new folks.
Yeah, this is only their second meeting.
Yeah, so-
and just prior to the first, they had just been sworn in the Friday prior.
Right. Okay. So let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Are you going? I know Dan's going. I know. I put in the chat room. Daniel, did you go? I meant Blasberg.
I know.
And DCW answered.
Well, there's two of us.
I did not know. I did. All I know is DCW. So,
Did D-Blast go too?
no, D-Blast is
He
going
did?
in July.
Okay.
So we will expect a report from both of you after the July meeting. I'll be very interested to see. So, anything else that people need to know?
The second. I'm sorry.
Anything else people need to know?
Well, if there's any evidence of how egregious the system was, at least last night, we saw the second applicant. I don't want to go on a huge tangent like I did on the first, but the second one clearly, if any, he had demonstrable, verifiable, documented threats
Okay.
against
Is
his
this
life
Is this the
Okay.
PG County one?
and the lives of his colleagues.
Okay.
And there was and the Maryland State Police were basically saying, because he worked for PG County Police.
Okay.
He was, PG County Public School Police. MSP stance was that he doesn't need to get a permit because he's not armed on duty and he's not a police officer.
But he had threats.
That was
against
their
him.
whole. Yes, but he had documented, verifiable threats, and we heard them one after another from the applicant's lawyer.
Because he works at
And Knob was
basically
steadfast.
he works at basically
I'm
end of the line school, correct? Where he's actually been assaulted
it was-
in
yeah.
school and outside threat.
Well, I've been
Oh, yeah.
assaulted in PG County
Well, no,
schools
he's-
when I taught
he's-
there.
He's been
Nobody gave me a
assaulted
CCW.
outside of the school, if I
Of course, I
remember
didn't
reading
apply
it
for
correctly.
one.
Well, he hadn't been assaulted outside of the school. However, he had received numerous threats outside of the school.
Credible threats.
He's so concerned for his safety that credible threats, and they brought them all. They had incident reports, they had police reports, and they even had printouts from Twitter and other social media where these people were threatening him and other members of the school. So he had all this stuff. Like MSP was standing fast against
All
him
right.
getting a permit. However, the last reading we went to, we got the gist that they were going to give a guy who sells fishing reels out of the back of his truck a permit.
All right. Well, let's give these guys a chance to get their feet wet and see what happens. And,
Yeah.
and because first of all, these guys can appeal, I believe. Yes, Mike.
Huh?
They can appeal, right?
They can appeal to the circuit court in the county in which they reside.
So
Actually,
they
this
can
is the
appeal.
first appeal, correct?
So the process would be there's an informal review that is optional. You can ask for from the Secretary of the State Police. This is their first formal
Right.
review and appeal process
Okay.
to a citizen advisory board.
Right.
This then leads to the final. This is the final step that the Secretary of the State Police has an action. Within a time period after this meeting, they must make a final determination. And the final determination, most of the time, the HPRB is rubber stamping what the licensing division has already decided.
Right.
But once the HPRB
However,
issues
there are-
a ruling, it is their
there are these
final.
3 new applicants, these 3 new people.
Right.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
I'm just saying
I
historically.
can't even pick on them right now because
Yeah.
they're so freaking new. It's not.
Right.
It's
right.
not fair.
They're still learning
right.
how the process is.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
So.
and personally, I think these three new applicants are doing things in favor of those presenting their cases.
Good for them.
From what I've witnessed, these people are not indifferent, and they're not anti-gun people like that of the previous administrations. Like, there's definitely a changing of the guard inside of on the board itself.
Excellent.
I like the fact that our MDS people are going there
Yeah.
and letting us know about it, because the threads that they put up about these, their testimony, their eyewitness accounts or whatever, opened my eyes. I didn't know anything about it.
Oh, it was my experience in front of them was lovely. Knob, corporal at the time, now sergeant. Knob is just the definition of arbitrary and capricious. They didn't, in my particular case, they never did an investigation whatsoever. They just said no.
Didn't even want to hear why.
No, they didn't even do the investigation they're
Right. They just said
required
no.
to do.
I'm
Just
thinking
said,
you should
That's
reapply.
exactly.
I'm thinking you should
I'm
reapply.
sorry, I
now.
didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
Oh,
no,
well,
it's
there's
all
a-
right. We cut each other off all the time.
you actually have a little bit of a delay from the process time anyway. So
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's funny. I also hear my Mac in the background, and I can hear that it's probably like a good 5 to 10 second delay.
It's about a 7 to 10 second delay. Listen, is it Dan or Daniel?
Danny is what I prefer.
Danny will
We're
work.
friends.
Okay.
You guys are friends.
Okay. Danny, is there anything else we need to know about that happened at the meeting?
Anything else that happened at the meeting?
That's relevant that we need to know about.
My best, honestly, I'm pretty wiped from the day I've had. If you will need to look up anything, I know the thread's a little lengthy, but the thread about the Inglewood Review Board, the last meeting, everything's in there. I wrote a full report up in there. Up in there, it tells you where I'm from. But everything's on there. I really don't know what else to add off the top of my head right now.
Yeah, I recommend everybody get on MD Shooters and read those threads because, like I said, it opened my eyes.
Read that thread.
It really did.
Yeah, and I heavily encourage if you do attend these meetings, be courteous. We're not there to intimidate anybody. We're just there to watch the process and and report back. It's really what this is. And it was eye-opening to me. I plan on eventually applying for one of these permits, and if I'm in front of this board, I want to know what I'm going to be in for.
Well, there's a lot of us.
But
like
just
me
as you,
go ahead.
I'm sorry.
There's a lot of people like me that are waiting for something. I'm not even going to bother. I never was going to bother applying because there's no chance.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, I will anxiously await an update from the July meeting, and we'll see what happens. I suspect things will not immediately change, but I do expect that things will curve.
we can hope.
We'll see.
Or
I
should we
mean,
flood the
things
market?
changed from the first meeting to the second for sure.
Okay. All right. I am going to let you go. And Danny, thank you so much for calling in. Keep that number and call in whenever you want because we're always happy to have folks call in when.
Oh, you guys are just
You
too
did
much.
a great job. You did a great job. So.
Thanks.
So thank you very much for calling, and we will chat with you soon.
All right. Take care.
All right, darling. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, so I just got hit up by Z7 Tactical, and she's going to call in. The fabulous Amelia Foxwell is going to call in. She's got a course coming up that she wants to talk about. She was like, "Hey, can you put this up?" And I'm like, "I'll do better than that. You can call in and
Pimp yourself.
tell you that's it. Free advertising." So she'll be calling in a minute. In the meantime, according to the Washington Times, and this is my last one. So when she's done, then you're up. According to the Washington Times, you can't have people walking. Bill Clinton, quote, "You can't have people walking around with guns."
Why not?
This is what he said.
There already are people walking around with guns.
I'm just saying. Former President Bill Clinton on Sunday blamed the recent unrest in Baltimore on people owning too many guns in this city.
Yeah, because he was
Combined
here.
with a lack of trust in the local police department. Speaking on CNN.
Says the man who is surrounded, the last person
ahead.
to have lifetime
So-
protection from the Secret Service.
So Bill
Oh,
Clinton.
is that right? I did not know that.
Actually, I think I can't remember if he's the last one. I think he is the last.
So Bill Clinton admits that Anthony Batts isn't doing his job.
That's one way to look at it. I wouldn't disagree. Speaking on CNN's State of the Union, Mr. Clinton first suggested that development opportunities and more jobs would be the solution in Baltimore. Really? How'd that work out in the Western District where they poured, Mike, what was it? Several $1 million into redevelopment that never happened? I'm correct with that, right?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
I could go way out there and say if they're not going to give if they're going to give the jobs to the Baltimore people, is that going to take jobs away from the ISIS people in the Middle East? that we're supposed to give them?
Oh, for God's sakes. Well, let's not even go there.
Okay. Well,
You can go anywhere you want, but I'm not going there.
We have a caller, by the way.
Oh, we have a caller. I wonder who it could be.
Good evening, caller.
You are live on Lock and Load, my darling. How are you?
Good evening. I'm wonderful. How are you?
We are well. Gentlemen, this is the fabulous Amelia from Z7 Tactical. And she's got a couple of events coming up. And the first one is coming up this Saturday, right? And you still have a couple spaces left?
Yes.
Okay, actually you have.
Yes, we actually we have the lovely HQL Maryland handgun qualification license course. That is coming up this Saturday. It's a 6-hour course. And we try to throw some more fun stuff in there besides all of the crap that you are required by law to have.
The fun stuff. You try to put the fun stuff in.
Make it a little bit more interesting.
Right.
So I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I say right. You try to make it more fun.
Yes. And, and honestly, I mean, we are firearms instructors, so we do believe that everyone should get training. So although, we would like our 2A rights to not be infringed, if they're going to be infringed, we would like you to get the most bang for your buck out of the training part of it. So we have that one, and then we have on the 27th and 28th, we have the carry and wear and carry course. That is what Maryland now says you have to have in order to apply for a concealed carry permit. And then the fun stuff is July 11th and 12th, we have a 2-day advanced carbine course. So we've got a variety of things coming up for everybody of every, experience level.
Yes, you do.
So
yes, you do.
One quick one, Amelia. Just so you're aware, you're actually get a little bit of a delay from when we talk, so we may inevitably walk over you and cause some confusion for you. I apologize for that. It's just the delay using the radio software that we're using. So
they actually used to do their own radio show.
No worries.
So
no worries. I've been on Blog Talk before. I get it.
Yeah. I know you and Darren used to do your own show because when you've been on my show, not that you've been on it recently, woman.
It's been a while. I'm sorry.
Know. Why? Why is that? So we have a good time. So,
I don't know. I really don't know why. We do need to come over and
tell your crotchety,
hang out in the studio and do on the show. I think that would be awesome.
Tell your crotchety man to get his butt over here, and there'll be bourbon and wine for you, or Cosmo if you choose. And you can tell him I said exactly that. If they want to go to this Saturday's course, which starts at 10 a.m. and goes until 5, and believe me, it is not a high. I have actually attended this class. I actually helped at this class at one point, and so this is not hard stuff. So if you don't have your HQL and you want to go buy a firearm. I'm not a firearm, a handgun, although we all know none of us want to buy a smart gun. We talked about this earlier, Amelia. We were talking about smart gun technology earlier.
No.
Yeah.
Skip that.
Right. So yes, we all had a good giggle over that. But in order to buy a handgun in the state of Maryland, you do need an HQL. So you might as well get it out of the way. Amelia is a fabulous instructor. Darren's actually a lot of fun when he's instructing. And so I would urge you to send someone or go and take someone. How do they get in touch with you other than through Facebook?
How they get in touch with me is they email me at info at z7tactical.com. So it's letter Z, number 7, tactical.com. Or you can find us on Facebook under Z7 Tactical. But the easiest way is to email me at the info, z7tactical.com. And Saturday's course is a good, even if you're not worried about the HQL, it's a really good refresher course. It's a really good fundamentals course. it's good for anybody who's slightly uncomfortable with a handgun or just hasn't shot in a long time, whatever.
I got to get her with my new friend. That would have been a good class for her. I didn't think of it. I'll text Kim later.
Since my schedule's been so busy.
I know. Yeah. So, okay. So Z7 Tactical on Facebook and info at Z is in zebra 7 tactical.com. Info at z7tactical.com if you want to go. And frankly, if you want to go and you can't remember any of that stuff, you guys know where to find me. I will hook you up. Okay.
Yeah, there are some people who can lead you in my direction, I'm sure.
Yes. And they all have my phone number, but just in case, it's 410-490-2734. Send somebody, take somebody, it's always a good thing. And I note with interest, and I look at one of our in-studio guests, Lisa, that she has on July 19th, the Tactical Application of Pressure Point System, the TAPS class. That class, I've taken it twice. And if it wasn't conflicting with, I think, your neighbor's event that day, isn't your neighbor having a major event that day?
No, day before.
Okay. Well, then I might be there.
It's the 18th.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The major event is the 18th. The TAPS class is the day after.
Okay. Oh, God. See, that's just not right. But the TAPS class is great. It's self-defense with your hands. And literally, I could take, having accomplished this class, I could take either one of these guys down. Now, I need practice.
Easily.
I need practice.
Yep.
Well, no, it's not just that. It's not
but
just.
The idea behind the TAPS thing is, I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's based, isn't it loosely based on the Israeli self-defense, what do you call it?
Krav Maga.
Krav Maga.
It's a little bit, it's reminiscent of Krav Maga. But it has a little bit of pressure point stuff and a lot of joint manipulation and pain compliance. It was developed by a guy who studied martial arts and has his own dojo for 30 years, but who was a SWAT team trainer, and he developed this for small female SWAT team leaders to be able to take down large amounts of unarmed men in prison. His wife was the SWAT team leader in the local jurisdiction where the major max prison was in Illinois.
This is
so he developed this for her.
Yep.
This is
and
Amelia,
really, it works for kids, it works for elderly people, it works for people with disabilities, it works for anybody.
This is Israeli-based training.
It was developed.
It's vaguely it's reminiscent of it. There are
like
some people who are big into Krav Maga who have taken the course and said that they recognize a lot of similarities, but it's really not based on Krav. What it's really based on is pressure point and joint manipulation.
Send you and Sue and Denise to the
class. It's awesome, and what's great is I'm not in particularly when I was taking the class, when I've taken the class twice, and I would love to take it again. I may end up taking it on the 19th, but I'm not sure. It depends on a number of things. But my daughter, my 13-year-old daughter, and then Becky across the street, Tom's been on the program. They've taken the class, and they have taken Amelia and Darren down. And properly applied and practiced, they could take either one of these guys down.
Eastern Shore, Western Shore. Where are we going?
Believe that class will be.
It's on the Eastern Shore. So right now we're working with the Edge Training Academy, which is in the industrial park on Ken Island.
Right.
So like for the HQL course, the classroom portion is there, and then we have a private range in Queenstown, and that's the same thing with the wear and carry course. The first day is at the Edge. The second day is at the range in Queenstown. The TAPS course is all at the Edge training facility.
Yeah. So, and I've been there, and that's the one we had it at last, the first time I took it, right?
Actually, the first time it was at Ken Island CrossFit, which is down Route 8.
Right.
This is a little bit closer. This is like right up at the top of Route 8.
Okay. So even easier to get to.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you want to go,
But it's a very similar place, except for the whole floor is matted and padded instead of just spots here and there.
So much nicer. So much nicer.
Easier on the knees.
Yeah. So that's July 19th. So and the day before I'll talk to you off air because I don't think that I'm supposed to be advertising that event, but you'll want to be going to that event. We actually talked about it in the driveway this evening.
We're providing security for that event.
Yes. Okay. So, but this Saturday is the HQL course, and if you are interested or you know somebody who wants to go or is interested, please either contact Amelia on Facebook, go to Z7 Tactical, send an email to info@z7tactical.com, or if all else fails, yes, I will hook you up. 410-490-2734. Oh, no, they changed the name of the chat room to Andy, I will hook you up.
There are certain of us.
Very nice.
I'm so out of place not being in the chat room.
Oh,
tonight.
my God. It's Cypher. What are you going to do?
There are certain of us that have the power to do that in the chat room, and we pick on her mercilessly.
Yeah, well, I think we're going to have to talk to Cypher. So anyway, that's about it. Shannon is Facebooking me. Amelia, anything else that we need to know?
I think that's it. I've had a bunch of people ask me recently about our wear and carry course and if it's worth taking the course to try to apply. And what I've heard recently from the underground rumblings is that it's the best time that in our history to apply, and that things are going to get steadily better as we go on. So the idea is what you have to do with the new requirements is you have to take 16 hours of this course with one of the certified instructors, which we are, and it has to be within 2 years of your application. So you don't have to take the course and then immediately apply. You can take the course, get your duckies in a row, and then apply.
All right.
But what it looks like is that, there is hope on the horizon, and I've actually spoken with a couple people recently who have been approved who might not have been approved before. So things are looking up.
Cool. Yeah, we were just, you weren't listening to the show, but we were just talking about yesterday's HPRB meeting. So I am looking forward to seeing where that goes. Amelia, my fabulous producer has a question for you.
So Amelia, just one thing to pass along to you when you get off the phone with us, check in the way that I got in touch with you last time. You have an offer from one of our regular listeners that he wanted me to pass along to you. So
what?
Okay. Awesome.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, then I will leave you two to.
I like offers.
What does Bolts want to take her to Alabama or something like that?
No, it's a different one. It's related to the topics we were discussing from her. So.
Okay. I don't want to know.
Yeah, Bolts, I'm busting your chops.
Yeah. He's going to Alabama. Yeah. We get to bust his chops, but he better promise me he's still going to listen to the show. So, because the chat room just wouldn't be the same without Bolts. It just wouldn't. Although Cypher's in the doghouse at the moment, so we'll deal with that. Amelia, I'm going to let you go, my love, and you need to get with your man.
Alrighty.
Find out when you're going to come be on my show.
Absolutely, and thank you for having me on this evening.
You are more than welcome anytime.
Seeing you soon.
All right, darling, we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks. See ya. Bye.
Bye.
That was Amelia Foxwell from Z7 Tactical, and if you need any more information, there are links in the chat room. You can go to z7tactical.com. You can email her at info@z7tactical.com, or, if all else fails, yes, I will hook you up. I'm going to kill Cypher.
So you're going to get a bumper sticker on your car that says, I will hook you up?
No, I'm going to get a bumper sticker on my car that says, Cypher better stay the fuck out of my way.
It is after 9.
It definitely is. It's
way after 9.
It's way after 9. So, anyway, So yes, you can't have people walking around with guns. Quote, this is a quote. I used to tell people when we did Bosnia, Kosovo, anything like that, get enough people with weapons around and there will be unintended consequences. People make mistakes. People do wrong. Things happen, he continued. Well, you get enough people walking around with scissors, shit happens.
Yep.
Sorry. This is your fault. Too much bourbon. I blame you. That was in the Washington Times. It was written by Jessica
And
Chasbar.
funny how her drinking too much bourbon is your fault.
He brought the bourbon.
It's she SRB.
He knew it. He knew it.
She totally SRB.
Hey, I'm still waiting
Look.
for my banner about Vinny DeMarco. Vinny DeMarco said it, therefore must be so.
He's such a dick. God.
It's okay. It's after 9 o'clock. It's okay. It's okay.
I'm
He's getting
so
the
beat.
very disapproving look from his wife.
Oh no.
Is there anything else that we really need to cover this week?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, then I think we will call it an evening. Do you have an outro?
Oh well, I
You're
have
looking at
a
boats.
couple of our
You are
normal
looking
ones.
at
Yeah,
boats.
I look at lots of things while I'm on.
What else do you look at while you're on it? Never mind. I don't want
So we didn't talk
Never
about,
ask a man what he's looking
I
at on
did
the
my
internet.
homework
You did?
and we didn't talk about Sunday hunting
Oh, you wanted to talk about Sunday hunting?
and we didn't talk about FUDs because I'm a FUD.
Well, when are you coming back?
When you want to talk about it.
So that would be next Wednesday?
Oh, hell no. Next Wednesday. No, because about, I don't know, 5 hours ago, we're on vacation. So,
So the Wednesday after that.
I don't know. I'll let you know.
Okay.
I'll come back and talk about it.
Yeah, next
'Cause I
Wednesday
actually-
we probably will not be
Because
on there.
I actually, you know, most of the people on Maryland
Nice.
Shooters would consider me a FUD, but I'm like a converted FUD.
What's a FUD?
Oh my God, are you kidding me?
Elmer.
Elmer FUD.
What-
How are you a converted FUD?
Be very quiet.
Well, because
I'm hunting.
I don't know.
the people in the shooting community, the Second Amendment community, want to have hunters involved, and they can't get the hunters involved.
I am a hunter.
Well, yeah, but you were Second Amendment before you were a hunter. They
No,
want to
actually, that's not so.
They
but
well,
go ahead. That's okay.
but essentially, you know, that's what I wanted to talk about was we need what everybody derogatorily calls FUDs
Hey,
involved.
I'm a proud FUD,
You know.
apparently.
So apparently I am as well, but it ticks off people, and you know, it's not a way to get them involved in your cause. So,
Well, we are going to talk about that. And you know what? Maybe I'll even get Shannon in here to help us.
well, actually, I have some paperwork for Shannon that I did promise her, and it's my fault that she didn't get it.
Oh,
So, yeah, I owe
I'm
her.
telling.
No, she knows.
She's actually in Dover.
I owe her some paperwork.
Do you have it
because,
with you? You're pointing like you have it with you.
It's in my magic briefcase,
Um,
the magic bag.
the magic bag.
Yeah,
Because I think she's. I can.
I'll give it to you. She can copy it and send it back to me. That's the stuff that I wanted to get to her anyway, because she did testify, or she was going to testify for one of the Sunday hunting bills.
Yeah.
So
She did.
but yeah, we can talk about that at another
Yeah.
show if
Yeah.
anybody wants to talk about it. If not, we can just
Sweetie, I will
poor
talk about
people.
hunting all day, every day. Because, you know, no, yeah, that's the only objection. But I will talk about hunting all day, every day, because, you know, the guys in the chat room, and my husband included, love to give me crap because, you know, I didn't do well during waterfowl season. However, my hunting partner pointed out, appropriately so, that he didn't do so well either, and he is the master waterfowl hunter. So
I remember your story on one of the shows. It took you
want to hear
like
it.
45 minutes to tell a 10-minute story because your
Because,
wonderful husband kept
yes, he
interrupting
kept
you.
interrupting me. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, and
So-
of course, I was busting his chops in
Yeah.
the chat room like usual.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, we have missed the stories about his butt, but anyway.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. We're not going to be here next Wednesday?
You're
the producer.
Yeah, probably not. I have a doctor's appointment.
Oh, you weren't able to change that?
No.
Okay.
Springfield.
Okay,
again?
so we will more than likely be back in 2 weeks, but 2 weeks from tonight. And then we will be able to torment poor Mike, and he'll be able to see us torment him. So we will see you next 2 weeks. 2 weeks from tonight. Oh, wait a minute. Is that right before it is right before the 4th. Be like
Yes.
July 1st. Okay. But that'll be okay.
That would be the 8th, wouldn't it? July
No, it'd be
8th?
like the 1st.
I'm
2
on
week,
va-
2 weeks from now is the 1st
I'm
of
on
July.
vacation. Days don't count.
Yeah, no, they don't.
30.
So anyway, we will see you in 2 weeks, Wednesday night, 8:00. Chat room never changes. The link to chat room never changes. You just need the link to the
individual show itself.
The individual
for the
show.
YouTube.
Yes, thank you. And that's it. That's all I got. You got something outro?
Yeah, I'm going to pick on our ever missing young lady who's only a few miles from us right now and decided she
miss
didn't
her.
want to call. So
Was
we'll
she-
pick on her and then I'll do something
see,
else.
and I told her we were going to play this.
While you're picking on her, find the Rachel Black as Coal.
We'll have it. We'll have it.
Black.
I may have that one for the next one, but I
Yeah.
didn't get a chance to
Okay.
look it up, so I don't have it downloaded.
Hammers back and the safety's on, safety's on, safety's on. Hammers back and the safety's on unless it's
You're
a
a
Glock.
That's my girl.
Here we come.
Bye, Shannon.
Bye, guys.
Get funniest first from everyone we meet. Hey, we're the monkeys, and people say we monkey around, but we're too busy singing to put anybody down.